If I could snap my fingers and have my client's dream home appear exactly how they envision it in their head, I would do it every single time. But I haven't figured out how to do that yet. The next closest thing I can think of is custom home building, which achieves the same effect but with a little more effort. It's the best way to make sure that you end up with your dream home, but it can seem overwhelming if you've never done it before. As a realtor with 10 years of experience in custom building, I've helped dozens of people just like you navigate this process. And in this video, I'll fill you in on everything you need to know about the home building process so you can find out if it's right for you. Stick around to the end where we interview a custom home builder and go through all the frequently asked questions that buyers typically have. Before we dive in, it's important to consider if the custom home building process is right for you. When working with clients interested in custom homes, I always refer them to 7 ways to know if you're ready to build a custom home. These are things to consider before you take that first step into a custom build. You have a clear vision. You know exactly what you want in a home. You've been researching online, and you probably have a Pinterest board full of ideas. Your lifestyle demands uniqueness. When the way you live your life isn't suited to a standard home build, and you need specific features to increase your quality of life. You seek location perfection. You searched all over for a home in the perfect spot, but there just aren't any on the market. Budget and financing are in order. You've looked into what it's going to cost to build the home exactly as you want it, and you're financially able to do it. You're patient and detail-oriented. This is a process with a lot of different people. You're basically married to your builder for at least a year. Long-term investment is priority. You're in it for the long haul. It could easily take over a year or more to go through the whole process. Resale homes fall short. You've looked and decided the only way you're going to get what you want is to build it yourself. If this sounds like you and you're ready to take on this long but rewarding process, I'm here to guide you through what each stage looks like and what you need to know to make it as seamless as possible. Some advice: talk with an agent like me who's got a lot of experience and let them guide you through this process, because even if you've gone through these steps, it's always nice to have outside guidance. There's a ton of prep work that needs to happen in order to get the home building process started. If you have an unlimited budget and spending isn't an issue, feel free to skip this step entirely. But most home buyers want to make sure that unexpected costs don't pop up late in the process, and the planning stage is your first line of defense against unnecessary spending later in the build. Cost plus builders will build anything you want, but usually you have to articulate every detail to them ahead of time. You can expect to work closely with the designer in this phase to communicate things like your taste and budget so that you can end up with a cohesive vision and accurate cost estimate. Professional services agreement. It's an agreement that you and your builder have before you go under a full contract. It lets them know that you're serious about working with them. Finalize plans and specifications. Work closely with the architect, builder, and interior designer to come up with the initial specifications on building your home. Finalize cost summary. The more details you can provide your builder about the house now, the more accurate your pricing is going to be. Builder warranty. You need to get an official copy of the warranty before you can make a contract. We'll cover more on what this warranty could look like later in the video. Create your contract. Using all the steps before, your plan, specifications, warranty, and cost summary, you formulate a final contract. Start construction loan process. You'll either pay cash or you'll work with the lender to get approval for a construction loan at this point. My advice: spend as much time on this phase as you can with the designer and builder so that you can create the most accurate specification sheet that you can. This is going to help you save on unnecessary expenses and change orders down the line. After you're finished with your planning, pre-construction begins. This is the least involved you'll be during the whole entire building process, and I get home buyers complaining all the time about how it feels like it's taken forever for things to start moving. My advice is to be patient. These things take time, and there's a lot of things that need to happen behind the scenes before construction can begin. Things like permitting, surveying, your first selections, initial grading. It'll take around 1 to 2 months for all these things to get sorted out, so while you're waiting, use this time to look over your plan to make sure everything is exactly how you want it to be. Remember, once construction begins, it'll be a little expensive to go back and fix things once they're installed. So going over your plans with the designer one last time is always a good idea. Congratulations! You played the waiting game and came out the other side. Now it's time for the construction to begin. This is the longest part of the process because building a home takes time. And in my experience, if they say it's going to take 8 months, that probably means 10 to 12. So understanding these timetables or optimistic estimates will help you from an extended stay in a hotel. When the construction starts, you'll be working closely with the builder to finalize all the pieces you planned earlier. It's important to note you can still make alterations during this process, but you're on the hook for the costs of any changes during this step. It's why having a clear and concise plan early on is so important. During your construction process, your main point of contact is going to be your project manager. Understand that some people have very different styles of communication, so figure out what works best for both of you early on so you don't miss any updates. Here's a list of every step in the construction process. You don't need to know what every single step is, but it is important to stay on top of each step as they happen. Foundation, framing, roofing, selections, rough ends, inspections, insulation, drywall, exterior finishes, trim outs, hardware, and landscaping. You'll be doing periodic walkthroughs of the house as it's being constructed. This is an important time to really make sure everything is how you want it before moving on to the next step. Do your builder and your stress level a favor and do not go to the job site every day. And absolutely do not talk directly to the individual tradespeople. This will almost always cause a lapse in communication. When you make it to the hardware phase, you'll finally start to feel like everything is coming together. And the landscaping phase is always the icing on the cake. After construction is completed, the closing process begins. This includes things like your punch walk, the last walkthrough with the builder so you can point out anything you want touched up or changed. Final inspections. These are done by the county or city. It's where you get your certificate of occupancy and can legally move into your home. Move in. This one is pretty self-explanatory. Now it's time to go furniture shopping. The builders will also help you fix any issues within the first year. But I recommend making a list of small things for the builders to address at the end of the year so they can fix it all at once. By now, you can fully expect to have been an 18 to 24 month process from start to finish, but the reward is priceless. Now we need to talk about the warranty. One of the perks of having a new home is that builders provide a warranty that usually operates as a 1-2-10 timeline. 1 year covers everything you need fixed, 2 years covers your systems like plumbing and HVAC, and 10 years covers structural fixes, and that's required by law. Sometimes your builder won't include the 2-year coverage of systems and instead will have the 1 year bumper-to-bumper coverage, so it's important to ask ahead of time what they cover. Now that we've covered the basics of custom home building, let's talk to Joe Fontana over at Chelsea Design Build to get answers to some frequently asked questions. So I'm here today with Joe Fontana, owner of Chelsea Design Build. Joe, thanks so much for letting me ask you a bunch of questions.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely, and tell us a little bit about Chelsea Design Group and where your focus is, like what part of town and how you got started.
All right, yeah, so we've been in business around 10 years now. We got started in South Park at the bridge of Chatham View. We then found the first piece of land for development, which was the Realty neighborhood off of Rama Road. That was actually the first solar neighborhood in Charlotte. We're really proud of the product there when we were building it and when it turned out, how it turned out today. If you drive down the street there, it's beautiful. So primarily focus in infill Charlotte, South Charlotte areas.
Awesome.
So.
And how much of your business would you say is speculative homes or homes that you build out and then sell versus how many are actual custom builds where somebody could come, purchase the lot, and design and build with you?
About 25 to 30% or so speculative versus either we own the land and we have a custom client come to us, or we build on your lot as well. So
awesome. I like that philosophy of having both, and kind of like many eggs, many baskets. You have a little bit of both available for everyone. So that's
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, and we help find land as well. So I'm primarily over the acquisition development part of our business. So we can get custom clients that come to us too and just say, hey, I want to build a house, and we'll help them actually find land develop it if need be, subdivide it if need be, and
Awesome.
get through those approvals. So
That's great to know. There are so many builders out there that will not have a hand in finding land at all. So
yeah.
that's great. What would you tell someone who is coming in to build a custom home for the first time? What is the first step they should take?
So depending if they have land or not, usually land identification and planning is going to be the first step. I think they need to be mindful of their budget, how much they can spend or want to spend, and how big of a house they want. That's kind of part of our feasibility study. We'll determine, hey, you want to build 4,000 square feet at, they have a budget of 1.6 million or so. That's around $400 a square foot.
So establishing like what a realistic budget would look like for the square footage.
Yeah, and make sure, if they want to build a 6,000 square feet for $1 million, we know that under $200 a square foot is just not feasible. So.
Yeah. And then the next step, would you say, to contact you and go through? I'm kind of leading to a question here. So on your website, I see that you have a link to a form that is kind of like a questionnaire that helps you determine what clients want in a home, I guess.
Yeah, it's part of the feasibility study. So typically we'll have somebody that reaches out to us, and I'll send them, we'll communicate via email probably at first or phone call. And we'll send them a custom home questionnaire, which kind of gets all the high level basic, do you have land? Are you working with the realtor? What's your budget? How many square foot you want? What are the rooms you're looking for? So if that fits within, a per square foot basis, we're like, okay, let's continue the conversation. We'll help you find land, or if you have land, there are different paths to take them down. From there, we have an inspiration questionnaire, we call it. So that'll get into all the really nitty-gritty details of like what they want in the house, the finishes, and we'll ask them to send all the pictures they've ever collected.
The Pinterest boards.
Yeah, Pinterest boards, images from Google, whatever they have, we just collect it all. Next steps, we build a presentation. If everything looks good from there, we're like, okay, their level of finish is within this price per square foot we're thinking about. We'll bring them in and do a presentation for them. So we'll build a presentation with all their pictures. And Larissa, my wife, the designer, will go through the whole presentation with them and look at, they sent a picture of a kitchen. Okay, well, what do you like about this kitchen? Is it the countertops, the floorings, cabinet, lights, or whatever? So we'll nitpick every little picture. And from there, we'll have iterations of this all over the house, interior, exterior, rooms, and all finishes.
All of that is being done during the planning phase.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of time that generally gets taken up during that planning phase just so that you can establish proper budgets. Is that fair to say? And then like budgeting is so important. What do you do along the way to help keep people on budget through the process?
Yeah, so once we go through that presentation, that's when we establish the budget and specifications. So we'll know that like this is what we're aiming for with this set of specifications and this level of finish. Through the selection phase, we're just going to show them selections that are within their budget, and then we might show them a higher or lower, but we'll give them advance notice that, hey, if you go with this higher one, we're going to add about $1,000 more or so. We'll continuously update the budget and specifications and share with them as selections are made, so they know where they're going to end up in a year and a half, 2 years or so.
So you're setting those proper expectations up front, and then as you're going through the process, you're communicating the expectation of, hey, you might be under budget for this, we're right on budget for this, or we're going to be over budget if you make this selection. That's awesome. So that's the communication aspect. So constant communication. How do you stay in contact with your clients throughout the process? Do you have a certain rule that you follow, or is there like a text guideline?
We're pretty open with communication. Most of our communication comes through Buildertrend as a customer portal. So we'll do weekly logs, all text information, pictures, videos if we have them. So just so the client doesn't feel like they need to be visiting the site every day to say, hey, what's going to go on? So we're telling them what went on today, what's going to go on tomorrow, and next week and the following week, to just kind of keep them abreast. But they have our personal phone numbers to our clients, so we get text messages and emails directly too, but most of it comes through Buildertrend to keep them up to speed.
Awesome. And it is so important that whenever you're working with a builder that they have some kind of software that, in my opinion, that there's some kind of software in place that helps you keep in constant communication with your trades and with the client to make sure that you are staying on budget, that you are like following a certain timeline, and it helps with those projections as well.
Yeah, so not only do we do the daily logs, but we take pictures of everything throughout the process, so they know exactly what's behind the walls before it gets drywalled. So they have all these pictures, hundreds of photos that we give them to afterwards. So
And you can always go back to that and reference if you need to, which is
yeah,
great.
if they want to hang something on the wall later on, and they want to make sure there's no electric or plumbing or gas line or something behind there, they can go ahead and look at the pictures and see.
Joe, again, thank you so much. If there's any like final piece of advice that you could give someone looking to build their dream home, like what is the biggest piece of advice you think you could give someone?
I think make sure you have a good relationship with your builder. It's a long process. It could take anywhere from 14 to 24 months or so, depending on if you're designing something from scratch and how big the house is and everything. So really vet your builder. Financial transparency is big for us. Communication is big. Make sure everything's planned out before you break ground, and you should be off to a good build.
Awesome. Thank you again so much. Please be sure to check out Chelsea Design Build online. Contact Joe if you have any questions or want to set up a design consultation, or give me a call and I can arrange it for you. As you can see, custom home building is a very involved process that isn't for everyone. But if you're able to commit to the journey, I can tell you from personal experience that walking into a home you built is the happiest I've ever seen a home buyer. If you think this process is right for you or anyone you know, reach out to me and we can get you started in Charlotte, North Carolina. If you want to see some examples of gorgeous custom-built homes in the Charlotte area, check out this video.